every time, don't they? And you know, it didn't really make any difference whether we could have gone to 90,000. It wouldn't have made any difference much.
Wouldn't have made any difference.
As it turns out, or we could have put it 100,000 in January. The same. Oh, it was a little better to have it the way it was.
Well,
it showed progress.
It showed progress, Mr. President, but if we had gone up to 16,000, they still would have found fault with it.
Sure. It wouldn't have helped us a bit. Wouldn't have meant a bit. Not a bit. And that's just not going to be the way it's being played. Going to play it. I must say, we've some way or other, you've got to get Laird in, sort of pipe down a little bit too about.
Well, I've scheduled a lunch with him next week. I'm going to get Laird quieted up.
Just say, no, look, Mel, it isn't going to do any good. And just say, might say, look, there is a chance for negotiation here. Now let's don't spoil it now.
Yeah. The only trouble is if he believes it, he'll try to hog it. But I'll get him quieted down by other methods. I'm just going to tell him he'll get himself into such unbelievable trouble.
Yeah.
Because I think he's shaken up a bit.
Do you?
Yeah. Mel is basically not a bad fellow.
He should also pipe down on the Kelly thing. We got that in the right position. We're not defending Kelly, and we're going to let it run its course. And when if he turns out the way we expect to, we'll just handle it that way. But let it drag on a while.
I think that's right, and I think the judicial process should now take its normal course there.
That's right.
And after that, you can decide in the light of all the information that will then have been developed.
That's right.
So, and that public furor had to be quieted down.
That's right.
Before it got
It's really, it was such an amazing sort of public furor. It surprised us all, surprised the press and all the rest. But it was probably a good thing that the country had that little spasm.
That's right.
It gave them a chance to pop off steam, and then we came on and cooled it off a little, and then came on with an announcement. We gained a little initiative, I think, as a result of it, don't you think?
Oh, yes. And it no matter what they say now, no one can construe that outburst as a dove outburst, even if it took the form, perhaps, of wanting to get out of the war. It was the frustration of the people who are not permitted to win the war.
That's right.
And that's quite a different thing.
Exactly. And I think the liberals really know this.
Deep down, the liberals know that.
They are shocked by it, because they were sort of hoping that the whole nation would, sort of say, well, now we'll punish these.
That's right. What they wanted was a feeling of revulsion against the deed. In fact, the deed itself didn't bother anybody.
No, matter of fact, the people said sure he was guilty, but by God, why not?
Exactly.
Well, anyway, we'll let her ride.
Well, Mr. President, I think you've done it again, and...
Well, we have for a while, but now the main thing is to try to hold our horses, see if the congressmen and senators come back from Easter vacation a little quieter. They may be.
I think they will be.
They might be, we'll see. Okay, Henry, thank you.
Right, good night, Mr. President.
To Haig, please, General Haig.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I have General Haig, sir.
Yeah.
The President, General Haig.
Hello. Yes, sir. You in your office? Yes, sir. Yeah, come on over just a second, will you? Right, sir. Colson, please.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Mr.
Yes,
Colson,
sir.
Mr. President.
Hello, Chuck. Yes, sir, Mr. President. I thought you would have probably enjoyed my little implied crack at Mr. Percy.
Oh, I thought it was beautiful, and
it had to be done. I mean, I couldn't sit there with all of my friends and urge them to give money to him.
That's right.
And I didn't criticize him, but without saying, look here, on SST and these other things, this is the reason I have stood for it. What do you think? I debated in doing it, but I thought that these guys deserved that.
You did it very well. You could have done it in a way that would have been a problem, but you did it in a beautiful way. You said, I understand there are differences, and that one's passed, and even some men in this room differed. Percy got up afterwards, by the way, and gave you just one hell of a speech.
Did he?
Yeah, he really did.
He was speaking to our crowd.
I thought your point on the SST though was one that you made it very gracefully, yet you made your own position very clear, and nobody took offense at it.
Yeah.
It was interesting, Mr. President, in the discussion during the course of the evening with the people around me at the table, and also beforehand, the number of very, very strong comments on the Wednesday night speech.
Yeah, several spoke to me as well.
Oh, just
Apparently that heartland really they react to it. You know, they're not so cynical.
That's right.
But they felt very strong. They like a little movement, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Well, they're great fellows.
It's the old guard. It's the old money guard.
Yeah, and that's why too. Another reason why on the SST and a little of that flag waving I gave, I thought was important. That's more important than all this other stuff. You know, they got to feel something about America has a role in the world. Don't you think so?
Oh, I thought it was.
They believe that. They believe that.
Your ending about you fellas have the guts for it.
Yeah,
they like that.
Because they don't think the Easterners have.
That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ziegler, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One thing, if you can volunteer, plant at the press conference is this. There was a story in the Washington Post that McCracken was thinking of going back or something. I, of course, I suppose it's on your calendar. I don't know that I met with him this morning.
Right.
Should be.
Yes, sir.
You could say that the speculation about the chairman of the council is completely erroneous.
All right.
Totally without foundation. That Chairman McCracken has and his policies have the complete confidence of the president. Just lay it that way, okay?
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
Right. Bye.
Dr. Arthur Burns, please.
Yes, Mr. President.
Oh, did you find Dr. Burns? Arthur Burns. I placed a call for him.
Yes, sir, let me check. Now, Mr. President, he's at lunch, and they're getting word to him in the building, and he will call you.
Fine. No hurry.
All right. Yes, please.
Get me Judge Murphy now in New York.
Yes, Mr. President.
I had the call placed yesterday.
Yes.
He's returned. Hello?
Mr. President, I have Dr. Arthur Burns.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well,
Hello, Arthur?
Yes.
Hope I didn't disturb you at lunch. I told him I could wait.
How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. I'm just fine. I had two things that are not urgent, but I would like for you to, if you could, that you might want to consider. We had an excellent briefing at the cabinet. But you know, we set up this new committee on international economic policy, you know, which I know you favored setting up, and we've got it, and Pete Peterson had it, and it was an hour-and-a-half briefing, actually. It raised a lot of profound problems. Incidentally, not a great deal in the. I mean, looking toward the future, about the future of the American economy and the balance of payments and a lot of other things and so forth and so on. Not much in the field of international monetary and policy and the rest. Naturally, we checked that. But what I thought would be a very great interest, and you can do it if you like or not. I think the staff of the Fed ought to see it. I think it'd be interesting for you to see it. I'd like for you people to know the kind of things that we're looking at. And what would you think of the idea?
Well, I like the idea.
And as a matter of fact, after the briefing started, I thought we could have had you this, but then we get into that independent deal. But I can tell Pete Peterson to call you and arrange it. Now, what I am doing, I thought so much of it myself that I am having it given to the rest of the cabinet and to the whole White House staff. Now, the second point, the reason that I'm calling you is that, and I'd like for you, if you would, to, I don't know whether your staff will undertake this or not, to put on your other hat. I don't mean, it has nothing to do with money or anything like that. One of the things that this briefing really raises, a very fundamental point, Arthur, is the question of our antitrust laws and how we can continue to compete with, for example, in airlines and so many other areas, with foreign governments, with foreign concerns that are subsidized by the governments and so forth and so on, and we move in other directions. You know what I mean?
No.
Now, I wondered if your staff, I'm having McCracken's staff make a study of this, and also Mitchell's and the rest, and Ehrlichman is good. I wondered if independently of that, you've got a lot of bright guys, your staff, and if you could spend some time after you hear this thing to give me your views on it, because you know, there hasn't been any real change in the antitrust law since the Sherman Act. Well, the country's changed a lot, and I don't think that you and I have ever talked about it, but after you've had a chance to think about it, I wondered if you'd come in, and I just have a feeling we've made some mistakes here. I think I don't mean by that we don't, but I think that for the future we're all for cartelization and all that sort of thing, but I also know that we cannot just apply the rules that were appropriate 50 years ago to the problems of today.
Mr. President, in that connection, I have meant to write you a memorandum. I've talked to several highly placed men in the aviation industry.
Right. That's one of our sick ones, one that we're worried about.
You know, unless we get some mergers arranged rather promptly, we can have mass failures there.
Well, let me tell you that if you could, what really concerns me is if you could look at this briefing and then also give me a strong memorandum on that, and incidentally, when we come in, I'd like for you, I think it'd be worth your time. It'd be worth an hour and a half of your time to see the briefing too.
Sure.
It's done with charts and you know, and he's gone over the whole situation as to what has happened to the American position in the world, and it's a fascinating briefing, really a fascinating briefing. Much of it will be old hat to you, but the members of your staff will like it, and our people all around there just sat there and said, "My God, we got to see it again." See, so 2 points. If you on the aviation thing, I'm working on that.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And second, but I need for purposes of getting the heat on this damn Justice Department. I understand Mitchell's all right, but it's the people down below. I could use a memorandum from you, and I'll just keep it to myself. Right. Third, would you give consideration to the whole problem of antitrust in your staff? Because you've probably got some experts over there that kick this around, don't you?
Yeah.
And it would not be in it isn't inconsistent with what you do otherwise.
Not in the slightest.
Right. And it's to look at everything, banks, everything else. I'm not so. The other thing is that if then on this international situation, after you look at it, since it is so closely related to the whole question of balance of payments and international monetary thing, then if you independently, I'm really interested in what you think, not just what you're studying. If you could then either come in and give me your views about it, it would be very helpful. Could you do that?
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah, of course I will.
Incidentally, Pete Peterson just walked in the office. Can I put him on the phone and we set the date for you now?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah,
Hello? Hello. Yes, I've just been talking to the President.
Yes, sir.
What a wonderful briefing you gave to the Cabinet.
That'll surprise you, Arthur, I'm sure.
The President would like to have some members of the Fed staff see this, and I'd like to see it.
All right.
And the President wants me to arrange a date with you.
All right. The minute I get back to office, I'll call you and we'll set up a time,
We'll set up the time.
Great, Arthur.
Yeah, very good.
Fine.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. President?
Judge Murphy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, Judge Murphy?
Yes, Mr. President.
How are you? Fine. I was just signing some appointments here the other day, and I noted that I was sending to the Senate the nomination of Murray Gerfine and for Thomas Murphy. And I told myself...
Thomas Murphy?
But I said, well, I said, is that Tom Murphy of many years ago?
Yeah.
And I found that it was. So I just wanted you to know that the country owes you a very great debt for your service to the country.
Oh, you're kind, Mr. President.
And for your service not only as judge, but for that critical day when you had to take on that tough case.
Yes.
So I've always been felt about you like Whittaker Chambers did.
Well,
so it was a tough one.
it really was, but
You did an awful lot, too.
Yeah. Well, it was something that we both had to do, and fine. And I hope you're in good health, are you? And
well, I just enjoyed 3 months sitting in San Diego, Mr. President. And
good.
Here trying to improve my golf with no success.
Golf? Oh, that's a terrible game. I'll tell you, I'll send you one of the presidential golf balls. Have you got one? That's what you'll get for your retirement. And then you can get by that way you can get a hole-in-one.
Oh, good.
Right. It has his presidential seal on it.
Oh, wonderful.
And in the meantime, I just want to thank you for the country and wish you the very best in
thank you, Mr.
the time ahead.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good luck.
Bye.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
Bye now, man.
Yes, please.
Colson, please.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Mr. Colson, sir. You are here.
Oh, Chuck?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, what do you hear from your friend Harris?
He started his poll this week, or he was supposed to have. I tried to reach him Friday in Detroit.
I thought he was going to pull right after the broadcast.
He told me he was going to start Thursday, and
Well, then
I assume he did, although I wasn't able to reach him on Friday.
he probably stretches it out over 3-4 days, I suppose.
Normally it takes about 4 days. Normally he would be finished tonight.
Oh, I see. Well, then he won't have anything this week, then, probably, until next.
No, he would, his raw data, Mr. President, he would have in on Thursday of this coming week.
Yeah.
And as I say, I tried to call him Friday to see if he started, but I wasn't able to reach him. He was doing a TV show out in Detroit. But I will get him in the morning. And I'm sure he started. He's being extremely cooperative.
Well, you can be sure he knows what we polled, you know. Well, the ORC thing, I think some of it was put out today, wasn't it?
It ran on the wires today, yes, sir.
Yeah, that was the one we took just before the broadcast.
Right.
Right.
But I'll see that he has that, and I'm sure Lou started. Lou has risen to the bait, and...
well, don't assume it till you see what happens to him.
No, but what he told me is he'd put his men in the field starting Thursday. Which normally he'd be through tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, good.
And we'll have some raw data from him on Thursday.
Right.
But I'll...
just so he knows that we are doing the same thing, so he...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Helps keep him honest a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's, as I say, he's been helpful. He's given me a lot of his raw data that he never gave out before.
Good. Well, and we're ready to cooperate with him, too.
Sure. He knows that.
Right.
Well, I'll check with him in the morning.
Well, okay.
Let you know what...
Sure.
If he's polling and when we'll get his results.
Fine. Okay.
Fine. Thank you, sir.
Wait a minute, sit down.
Please.
You get me Tricia, please?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mrs. Nixon, please.
Yes, please.
Dr. Kissinger, please.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Dr. Kissinger,
Mr. President,
Have you finished your meeting, or are you still having it?
I still have it, but last another 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, are you going out to dinner?
A different, no, I was going to stay here.
Yeah. You want to come over and we'll give you something to eat here.
Oh, that's very nice.
Why don't you come over to the Lincoln Room just as soon as you can finish? I'll tell him to serve it in about 10 minutes. Can you be here in 10 minutes?
15, can I make it 15?
15 minutes is fine.
Good. I'll be over in 15 minutes.
General Lincoln, please.
Thank you.
Hello.
General Lincoln, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President.
I was going to ask about the Texas disaster thing. Did we get something done on that, or are we going to do something?
Yes, sir. I talked to the Secretary of Agriculture this morning about this.
Yeah.
And he is having a meeting right now, I think, of his people. I had a long meeting yesterday, but principally with his people.
Right.
And I believe that he should make an agricultural disaster declaration immediately,
Yeah.
which will make available their emergency grain program,
Yeah.
and will also make available their FHA loans.
Yeah.
And I also believe that he should press along on what these people are already doing, which is use their extension services in Texas and probably in Colorado to start to be a catalytic agent to get hay, which they say is in Colorado, moving to Texas.
Yeah.
I have on my desk to think about what I'm going to send you.
Yeah.
I question very seriously that we should make a full disaster declaration. A full disaster declaration triggers everything in that law. It triggers unemployment compensation.
I see.
And the estimate is that we get 65,000 applications. I have that from the Department of Labor.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to distinguish whether they were due to the droughts or not.
Yeah.
We get all these workers down there in the south, the migratory workers who they want to migrate north.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to determine.
Well, let me ask you to do this. I noticed the governor had do it. Why don't you have Hardin give the governor a call? And I think the main thing is swiftness, so that they don't build it up. You could give the governor a call and tell him where. See what I mean?
I will, yes, sir.
Okay.
And
get that done.
I'll get that done right away. And
so that we get that much. I'll say we were doing this emergency, so forth and so on. And then the other thing, I noticed you used the small business type of thing. I just want to be sure that Texas they're really squealing down there.
Yes, sir. Well, with an FHA declaration, that immediately triggers the SBA.
It does?
Yes, sir.
Well, if you could, would you see that Hardin or you or somebody get to the governor on it? And the other one that I would inform would be the Tower.
Yes, sir.
Sure, Tower. No.
We're in touch from him.
Well, but I mean, so that he can, I'd tell Tower first, so that, and then let the governor know. See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
All right. It might be better, as a matter of fact, just to give it the proper build-up, is to tell Tower and let him pass the word back. See what I mean? Let's make a little politics out of this. Tell John Tower. See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And have Hardin give Tower a call and tell him what's available, and then Tower can make the release from here, because it's mainly a political problem. It's a political problem. It's a disaster too. Would you do that, please?
Yes, sir. I should make clear, sir, that our estimate of the situation is that this is not yet a disaster.
Right. I understand that.
But it might be very tough in 3 or 4 weeks if they don't get hay when we're moving.
And if they don't get some rain. But in any event, you tell if you could have Hardin call Tower, so that Tower could then say what we're going to do. Right.
I will arrange that, sir.
Done today.
I'll get that done right away.
Mr. Peterson, please.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Peterson, Mr. President.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I read the memorandum. It's fine, except that rather than 13 months ago, it was 20 months ago that we started this initiative with regard to the Chinese.
Was it? Somebody indicated to me March of 1970.
March of 70, there could have been an announcement, but it was 20 months ago that we started the private...
I see the discussion started.
That's right. See, I talked to the Indian ambassador and Mrs. Gandhi, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's on my world trip at that time.
All right, fine.
But you could say 20 months ago, then we made an announcement 13 months ago.
All right, fine.
And that, all of that is correct. The main thing is, however, if I could just be sure we get the tone. The Chinese thing is going just the way we want it. We do not want to have, I don't want you to appear, or I don't want us to appear to be exploiting it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Sure.
And so you can simply say, now look here, you can, when you tell them this, you tell them this is for your background only.
Mm-hmm.
Be very tough with them. This is not for use. And say, however, you should know that this is the way it began, this is the way we feel. But I don't want them to have a story next week saying this is all a plot by which a plan by which the president, you know, started this many months ago, did this and that and the other thing, and now it all comes to fruition, because then that may overplay to the Chinese, will be a little bit too anxious to them, and might knock that one out. And second, it may hurt what we're trying to do with the Soviet right now. You see, what really is going to count with the Soviet, Pete, is the fact. I mean, that ping pong team is worrying them right up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let the fact worry. I'm just giving you this as a little kind of backroom stuff that an editorial board loves to hear.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean?
Right.
You can say, now this is good information. Now you can say, I would urge that you watch this in the future and that sort of thing.
Right.
See what I mean? But your whole general thrust is right on target.
All right. And you don't mind if they talk about the initiative, I take it, and
No. Oh, you can say that the president took this initiative.
Right.
I think that is public knowledge.
Right. All right.
That I took the initiative.
Right.
And that it was my decision, and that it was
Right.
it was one in which there was, I think you can honestly say, that there was there was opposition in the Foreign Service, some of the criminologists, because of their concern about the Russians. I think.
Now, is that for background too?
No, that can be something they can use.
All right, fine.
Just a minute. Let me just see. Let me check to see. The difficulty with that, I would tell them that on a complete deep background, which means they can't use it for this reason. It'll look like we're just trying to pick a fight with state. Right now we're trying to keep state in. I think you can simply tell them that, why don't you put it in a more fuzzed up way? Say there was argument. Tell them that everybody's on salvo right now. But at that time, when I initiated this, there was argument because some of the criminologists in the Foreign Service were deeply concerned about the fact, is this going to have some problems in our Soviet relations?
Right.
And then you go on to say, look, this has nothing to do with it. The president has always said this has nothing to do with trying to make the Soviet mad or the Chinese mad. Our purpose is to get along with both. We want to be, the line that I took in Romania and Yugoslavia and Romania, that you can be our friend without being anybody else's enemy.
All right.
That's the line.
Now, the part that you want strictly on background is the precise dates of all this. Is that, do I have you right on that?
Precise dates don't worry me. The 13 months ago and 20 months ago. No, those are...
All right.
Yeah. 20 months ago, the overtures were begun, and some of that is already public knowledge. For example, the meeting that the ambassador Stessel had with the Chinese ambassador.
Now, which of those 4 points, then, do you want strictly on background?
What I want strictly on background is mainly the idea of the fight. I mean, of the
State Department.
The State Department.
Okay.
I want that strictly on background, except that I want to lay to rest the idea. What I'm really trying to get at is as I told you yesterday, they have tried, some have tried to create the impression, some in the press, that this is an initiative from the people in state, that I have reluctantly gone along. It's just the opposite, see?
Okay.
So I'm just trying to give you the background so that you'll say, now look, boys, we don't try to pick a fight with anybody. There's always disagreement about things, but this is something that's has been a presidential initiative from the beginning. Right. I think that's what you can say.
All right. Now, Mr. President, on point A in my memorandum, the peaceful competition thing, am I right that is okay for them to talk about?
Absolutely. And also the bread and butter and guns and bar deal, that's good.
Right.
And the idea, incidentally, of I marked too for future, and this is not for them, of getting the speech team to work on this is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
This is something we're ready to, when you get back, do some thinking on it, and we'll get some real good stuff. But your outline is excellent. I think you've got the thing right on target.
All right, fine.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And then stay out of and as I say, as you know, life has been very critical of us on the military side. The main thing there is to exude complete confidence. Say, look, we know you disagree with us and that, but this president is ending this war, period. And you can argue about the means, but in the end, that's a moot question. Now let's go on to the other subjects. Right. But don't let them drive you into. Don't say a word about that except confidence that we're doing the right thing.
Wonderful.
All right,
sir.
Bye.
Liz.
Colson, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
I have Mr. Colson.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
I'm meeting with Scally and Kissinger in a couple of minutes. You want to come down? Are you free, or what are you doing?
Fine, I'll come right over.
Wait a minute. What are you now?
I'm in my office, just
Meeting with somebody?
No, sir, just cleaning up some paperwork.
Fine. Okay. Or do you think we should want me to see him alone?
Well, I suggested Kissinger come in. I don't think it matters one way or the other whether I'm there, but I think it's important that...
Well, Kissinger, I'm gonna lay right into it. I only thought that... well, maybe not. Maybe you might pass it this time. You had long talks with him before.
Oh, I've been working with John. I had John in here...
He's in good shape.
Almost all day yesterday, sort of getting him adjusted to the system, and
Sure.
I will be working closely with him. I felt on this meeting, Mr. President, and I expressed myself this morning, that the great value that would be for you to get these two fellows sort of tracking together, because there'll be a normal tendency for a little rivalry there.
I know. I'll talk to them alone. I think
there's value in that.
Yeah, I'll do that. Fine. Anything else from your shop?
I might just report to you, Mr. President, that Harris did start the polling when he said he would. He started last Thursday.
Still polling.
His people are through in the field tonight, and their data starts flowing back in. We'll have a feel on the Harris figures this weekend.
But you gave him ours, did you?
Gave him yours. I gave him the ORC figures, and which he said he felt he said he felt the trend would be up. He wasn't surprised by the ORC figures.
That's good.
And we'll see how he comes out. He's
but you told him so he knows we're watching.
Oh, yes.
Well, after all, our ORC thing was published, too. So
that's right.
Keeps him a little bit honest.
He had seen that, and then we discussed it in detail. He told me that he would call me over the weekend with his raw data and review it with me. And then what he will do is put that in the mail next Tuesday for the following Monday's news stories. So we get the story on that one would come out 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good. If it isn't an uptick, I think I can talk him out of publishing it.
Okay.
So we'll stay on that. I also might report to you, because you asked me about it.
Yeah.
We've got the POW wives coming in, and
good.
Don Hughes has been doing a good job with these gals.
I know.
They did have a meeting with Kissinger, and it didn't come off quite as well as they would have liked. So we're going to.
Oh, it didn't.
Well, I think they got the feeling that he wasn't. Don can really relate to them, and I think
maybe you don't want. Well, on the other hand,
no, I think
maybe you better.
I think it should be done, but Hughes, I'm arranging to have Hughes and Kissinger sort of do it together, and Don is good at the hand holding, and Henry can.
Yeah, he was too blunt with them.
A little bit. But I'll see that comes about this week.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Good.
Thank you, Mr.
Hello.
Dr. Kissinger calling you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
The President.
Hello.
Mr. President?
Yeah, Henry.
I just wanted to mention a number of relatively minor things to you.
Yeah.
One is that the South Vietnamese are launching another one of these raid-type operations tonight.
Good.
This time, it's a more sizable one. There's a big sweep inside South Vietnam.
Good.
And then they're going to land some battalions in Base Area 611. And I think it's very useful to tie down the North Vietnamese.
Good.
And
is it well programmed and well supported and well planned?
Programmed and well supported, Mr. President. And I've called Moro to say that we don't want any significant American losses in helicopters and
Right.
Secondly, I talked today to this fellow Vorontsov from the Soviet Embassy.
Right.
The reason was that there's a meeting between Russia and Abrasimov
Yes.
on Berlin, and I just wanted to make sure that they didn't blow, that they understood which way the channels were going.
Yes.
And
he understood that.
Oh yeah, he understood it, and he said that Dobrinin was coming back Sunday with new instructions, and that we should take the Brezhnev's speech very seriously, and he was slobbering all over me.
Good.
And
we'll see Sunday what he tells you.
And then I did something which was a little unorthodox. I told him that Dobrinin had given me his phone number in Moscow. So he called me up an hour, and I'd lost it, so he called me an hour later and said it might be a nice thing if I called Dobrinin and congratulated him on his Central Committee membership.
Good.
So in fact, I did it, and Dobrinin said, we'll have something on that exchange of letters when I come back.
He said that?
Yeah. But he didn't say what it was.
Yeah.
And he also said he was coming with new instructions.
But not indicating anything on the summit thing.
Well, he couldn't, Mr. President, on an open telephone.
Oh, it was open telephone, okay.
Yeah, we don't have the secure line.
Right.
We have the hotline, but I didn't want to use that.
Right.
This was a commercial phone.
Good.
And
but how'd he sound?
Oh, he sounded, they're going to do something, Mr. President. And then finally, one other thing. I called Mike Mansfield on your behalf.
Just a second, hold it.
I called Mike Mansfield.
Yeah.
And told him that you had asked me to tell him about what you are announcing tomorrow in strictest confidence.
Right.
And I thought that he would have appreciated it. He was beside himself, very statesmanlike.
Was he?
President has his warm support and congratulations. And he said now he sees what you were talking about and when you were hinting at China policy. Of course, he raised again his going there.
Oh, yeah, we have it in mind.
And I thought, Mr. President, that tomorrow morning, if you agree, that perhaps McGregor might call Ford and Albert. That gives McGregor a little status and gives him something dovish to do.
Yeah.
And let State notify the Foreign Relations Committee.
Well, let McGregor also call Mahon. Mahon is a good man.
That's a good thing.
And let him hit, because he's the best man on that side.
Right.
And, let's see, on our side, Scott.
Scott he should call.
Yeah, he might as well.
Maybe Griffin.
Yeah, Scott and Griffin, yeah. And let's see, anybody else that, I think that's enough. Let's State inform the others. Well, McGregor might call Aiken.
He's on the Foreign Relations Committee.
That's all right.
He'll probably take you.
That's right. Let him call Aiken and let State handle the others.
Okay.
See?
Right.
Give Aiken a little brush. That's a good idea.
Good, Mr. President. I'll get that done.
Fine. Okay, Henry.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes,
Colson, please.
thank you, Mr. President.
Hello?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Well, how are your troops doing?
Well, I think we're doing fine, sir. The good economic news the next couple of days are reasonably good, which I think will boost spirits a bit.
You notice they should.
Yeah, right.
My God, interesting, the market went over 32 today. 932 it ended up. Did you notice?
I didn't see the figure on that.
That's higher than it was when we came in, so we've now reached the breakwater point.
Well, that's marvelous. 932 is a pretty good figure.
It was on January 20th, it was 931.
Well, the $28.5 billion GMP increase on Friday is bound to give things a lift.
Some lift. It is not as big as we had projected, but it's much higher than Eckstein projected and higher than any of even the optimists among the so-called experts projected.
That's exactly right.
See, they were all 27, so this is 28.5.
Well, Exene was 22.
Yeah.
I think was it Eckstein or
Otto Eckstein? Right.
I think he was 22.
He was 22. That's right.
So it's going to be right well in the business industry today, going up.
What did show you a second? Sorry, I had somebody at the door.
No, that was up to 0.3%. I'm not sure what that means. From 164.9 to 165.2, but it's an increase.
All the figures are up. It's moving, and the retail sales are up. The automobiles are up. Housing is up. But the main point is, even though it means nothing except the 27 million that own stocks, and that's not an inconsiderable number, but the fact this market moves, those guys in New York, those bastards do not buy unless they know what the hell's going on.
That's right, and they anticipate
that's right.
ahead. And
they're
also
predicting what's going to happen.
As I understand it, Mr. President, there's a lot of small investors coming in now, which is
has to be
a healthy sign.
Well, 19 million shares today.
So, but there's a lot of small lot trading, which means that you're getting some public confidence back in, which I think is a damn healthy thing. And if we can keep that up, plus casualties coming down as they are, as you know.
What is the situation with regard to keeping? I was talking to Bob Dole today, and he said that Case and Brooke were mumbling around about a cutoff and a resolution and all that, and that he's trying to keep them in line. The main thing really is that we just got to keep our own. I mean, I notice, for example, Cook has got some resolution floating around about prisoners, which wouldn't be too bad, but except it's wrong to do. They just ought to keep their goddamn mouth shut for 2 or 3 months.
Well, they should, but we're not going to be able to control it.
I know that.
And
I know that.
As much as we'll try to keep it downplayed, the doves are going to.
Well, they're petrified because they know we're going to end it. You see.
That's right.
And they want a part in it.
Well, they want to take credit for it if it comes out right, but they want to be positioned so they can be critical if it doesn't.
That's right.
I'm afraid, I talked to Kissinger and Haig today, I'm afraid we're going to need to
have an alternative.
Well, no, develop just a good defense. I'm not talking about having any alternatives substantively, but just...
Well, we may have a couple of things break, who knows.
Well, if we can just...
This China thing must really disturb the doves, so...
You have sure turned...
Those bastards really must have a problem with this, huh?
You've sure turned our new man, Mr. Scally, on.
Oh, yeah.
My God, he just thinks this is the greatest thing.
Of course, let me say, that doesn't help us with folks. I think what we've got to realize, well, that helps us with intellectuals. We pulled all this, and people are against communist China, period. They're against communists, period. So this doesn't help us with folks at all. It's just with these intellectual bastards. And
well, it may help us with some of the opinion makers that they see for foreign policy, and it probably will help with the kids.
You think so?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of an initiative that young people will...
You may help a little there, I agree. I see your point.
It doesn't help with middle America. I'm expecting all kinds of...
Yeah, they don't understand it. They say, what the hell are you doing? They're killing our boys and you're trading with these people. See?
Exactly right.
And if I were a demagogue, I'd go after that. But I doubt if they will.
You remember the Canadian wheat deal 4 or 5 years ago? The absolute hell that broke loose all through the country on that.
Yeah. I don't think it will break loose on this.
No, because...
Of course, the main point about this is that this is also worrying the Russians. It's worrying Hanoi. So it's an enormously important move. We had to make it for other reasons, but let's have no illusions it's going to help us with the country.
I didn't see it tonight, but I understand Howard K. Smith had an excellent commentary leading in with your foreign affairs article.
Pointing out that it was not just an accident.
That's right. That it had been a long-planned, long-thought-through process and consistent with your long-term views. As I said, I didn't see it, but I heard it was excellent. But, no, I think that...
Of course, this will confuse them, and this will keep them a little upbeat. What they're really worried about, Chuck, is that they're afraid that on this war thing, I now really see what it is. They really are afraid we're gonna pull it off, and they have got to be in a position of criticizing or saying, well, we wanted to do it sooner or something, because otherwise the issue's so clear. They got us into the war, and we got us out. See?
Exactly the issue. Now they're trying hard to stir it up. they'll do their best during this demonstration period to...
Good. I hope they all endorse the demonstration.
Oh, they have. Oh, right down the line.
Is it Humphrey endorsed it?
Absolutely. Well, I shouldn't say that too quickly. Stubbs, Muskie...
Teddy?
I don't know, sir. I did look at the list, and I don't remember Teddy's name on
Well,
it.
let's be sure that you get after both Teddy and, bring you some matches, please. Let's be sure both Teddy and Humphrey are put on the spot. Have telephone calls made to their office. Get them on the record. Say, now look, Senator Muskie has spoken out. Senator McGovern, what's the matter with you? You know? Now get somebody to go. Now let's get that done tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir. We have some pretty good tricks in our bag that we've been working on this week on the demonstrations. You know, the hard hats are going to be here at the same time.
I hope they realize how important this is. Do they?
Well, we kind of thought we'd pass some leaflets around when they're here about join the demonstration and end the war and have some long-haired kids.
No. Well, the other thing you can do is to attack the hard hats.
That's
Can you see what I mean?
yeah.
Why not have something that throws off on them? I mean, the hard hats are not with an ugly picture in pamphlets. The hard hats are not America, and then we are, you know, or something like. You see a little of that?
That's the other twist. See, thought of that. That's a good one. That's excellent. I was thinking of trying to get them to join the demonstration. If they come down and watch that guerrilla theater that this group is putting on next week, God, they'll go in and clean them out.
Where is the guerrilla theater going to be in?
Lafayette Park. They're going to have it one day, I think. I just went through that this afternoon. We're kind of gearing our people up for a few activities of our own.
Well, now, at the present time, Chuck, try to see. I don't know. I don't know it's McGregor and is Ballou still with us? Is he still?
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, McGregor and Ballou and the rest, they've got to see that our own people don't get off going, you know, Brooks shouldn't be in this. He should stay out of it for a couple of months, you know. He'll have plenty of time to squeal when he wants to. But, you know, he's moving at the wrong time. And he's moving against the tide now, because the tide is running our way. We got a lot of things doing. Don't you agree?
Yes, sir. I definitely do.
And if only that, is there anything you can do to get some of them to, well, I don't know.
Well, I have a meeting early in the week, Mr. President, with some of the more liberal Republicans to talk to them about helping us against McCloskey, and I can raise the same issue with them.
Yeah.
Clark can do that. Clark's pretty good with that.
But be very aggressive with it. Very aggressive to say, look, we've got a plan, it's working, it's going to win, and you're going to look awful bad if you're opposing it. See?
Yes, sir.
That's the line we should take.
Well, I think that we can keep a lot of these fellows in line. Saxby, for example, he's been speaking out pretty well.
As you also know, our last poll shows 55, so we're doing pretty well there.
We're going to we'll get that out as soon as we find out the top.
Tom gave you the point of it, you know. Well,
yes, sir.
We're not going to have ORC print that, but put that out because it's only 1 point above what we had before. But it's still significant because it does show that we have some. I mean, for us to be at 55 after all these damn attacks, or say 50 to 55, which is what we're in, is pretty damn effective, don't you think so?
Well, it sure is.
And I think we've got to get this to these damn senators. I don't know that they don't, see, they hear the radical mail, and they weigh their mail. How can you get this to them? Can they, or can you? I don't know.
Well, they get a feel for it, Mr. President. I think when they come back, a lot of them, particularly from the Midwest and the Far West, are going to have a little different view. I think that after they've been out talking to people, because
well, we don't know, but we don't know what they're hearing, though, you see, because they may not have caught it as we have, you see. We're getting a real feel.
Well, we're going to mail the poll, at least the part of the poll that relates to your approval of your handling of the war, which has dramatically shifted.
Yeah.
We're going to get that up to all the senators and congressmen so they'll have it in their offices when they come in on Monday.
Yeah, and get to the senators tomorrow, because, you see, they're there now.
You can't raise the release date.
That's right.
But we'll have it to them during the weekend. We'll get it.
All right. Good.
And
but just tell them there's a hell of a lot more going on than they realize, and don't get out there and get the limbs sawed off. I don't know what's the matter with these people. Now, Brooke, for example, maybe you could talk to him and say, now, Ed, for God's sakes, why don't you give us a month? Tell him 30 days. Why not? He might listen to that.
If I could tell him that, and he thought that
tell him 30 days, and that. Then we'll tell him, all right? I won't ask him for any more than that, but say, now, if you give us 30 days, maybe we've got something to tell you about. But there's some things going on that we can't tell you about. And it isn't no secret. There's nothing yet, but we just got to hear from a few people. You see? Oh, on everything. Everything is breaking now. The China thing, who the hell thought this was going to break?
That's right.
We knew, right?
That's right. Well, I think if I asked Ed Brooke to give us 30 days, he would do it. I don't think there's any doubt.
You ask him, tell him May 15th.
Yeah, May 15th.
And then May 15th, I want him to, you tell him he can come in and have an appointment with me May 15th. And I'll tell him what the hell the score is. And then, but I think between that and then, if he could just say, look, the president is sincerely trying to end this war, he's doing it, and we're not going to fly-spec him, we're not going to pull the rug out from under him, but he should say that. Now, he made a speech today, I don't know what it was, but just say, now, Ed, I just want you to know, the president's all he asks. And you give him that date, May 15th. You have an appointment with the president that day, and he'll tell you, at that time you can go out and he can scream like a dove. I don't care.
Because you know one thing that'll do, Mr. President, in the case of someone like Ed Brooke, whose colleagues respect him, a lot of them do, if he starts getting quiet and says, I can't tell you why, but I'm quiet, that's a very infectious thing. Other people say, well, Jesus, he must know something we don't know. It does have that effect.
Good.
Well, I'll do that with Ed in the morning. I think I know him. I've known him long enough that I think if I said that to him, it would.
Now, don't promise anything.
No.
Don't say there's anything secret that's going to go on. Don't say anything. Just say, Ed, right? They've just finished the Soviet Party Congress. You notice what happened in China. We can't promise a thing. We're not going to try to mislead you. But take 30 days. The president wants you to just take 30 days with no promises, no commitments, nothing. Nothing may happen. And you come in and talk to him. And at that time, he'll tell you what the cold facts are, and you can do what you want. Can't you say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and tell him he can't tell Fulbright, he can't tell Case, he can't tell anybody else.
Good.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'll
Good.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye.
Could you get me Colson back again, please?
Yes, be glad to.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
When you're talking to Brooke,
Right.
why don't you ask him to get up on the Senate floor tomorrow and praise the president for his initiative on the China thing, that this was and then get him the Howard Smith background. See, Smith has got it all, starting with the article. This is an 18-month plan. This is thinking of the future of the little Kevin Taylors, and the rest. And that this is something where he can really say, we like this initiative. You see what I mean? Tell him to do that.
I think he'd be one that would be very likely to.
Good. Okay.
I'll do it, sir. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Would you get Julie for me, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Yes, please.
Peter Flanagan, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Flanagan, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hope you noted the Dow went to 932 today.
Well, I'm just going to have to get out of this business and take your advice every time I hear you make a prediction from now on.
Let me just suggest, though, that this is now time for fellows like Reagan and Lasker and a few others. They ought to be calling in to us and saying, well, you know, tell them to be a little positive. How about that?
I noted today that when you talked about it to Reagan, you had to drag it out of him.
Yeah. Here we are. Well, no, he was all right, but he was coming through over receiving lines. It was all right. But the point is that here they are with the Dow is now up 300 points from the low. More important, it's 2 points above what it was when we came into office. See,
I didn't realize that.
January 20th, it was at 930. January 20th of 69, 930.
Tumble to that one.
Now it's at 932.
I will.
No, and I think they ought to start talking pretty damn positively, you know, up there. Those guys should be feeling pretty good, and they ought to say so.
Yes, I agree with that.
Would you agree?
I agree with that, and they ought to be making waves through the rest of the economy, because they're the people who
talk
about the board.
Talk about Bunny Lasker. Tell him that he ought to, maybe a few of those guys ought to write me a letter or something, or, you know.
You bet.
Or something they could do. Okay?
Yes, sir, I'll do it.
Fine.
That's good. I'm sorry I didn't think about that when we came in. That's great.
Okay, Pete.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, Peter.
The Haldeman, please.
Yes, Mr. President.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I just told Pete Flanagan that Dow's at 932, you know.
Is it?
Yeah, it went up 5 points today on 19 million. And the AP in the Star, I noticed it on moderately active trading. Good God, 19 million shares. But so now it's 2 points above what it was when we came in. And I told him, by God, that he ought to get a hold of Reagan and a lot of those clowns up there, and they ought to write a little note or say something, or, you know.
Right.
Or, gee whiz, I mean, they're having it pretty good, you know.
Yeah, the trading has been what, over 3.5 billion shares.
Yeah.
Since the low.
Yeah. So that's
that's interesting. Yeah.
those boys in the Wall Street don't bet on anything unless they think it's moving up too. So it's an indication of their feeling of confidence. I mean, the whole confidence factor people have been talking about. But it's going to be hard for these financial writers and the rest to come around to say, oh, you know, we're so bearish. Now, but that 932 is a sort of a historic landmark.
Sort of a nice touch for Bill Casey's
You're right.
taking over the SEC.
Right. Okay, did you, were you able to check any of that thing out that I, you know, on an individual basis that I asked you about today I'm just working on the press conference thing now.
What? Oh, you mean on how to approach it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, well, you can just
Start a whole siege of them tomorrow.
Fine, you can talk to some. And I think it's important to get, have Dole on this, was he there when Connolly made his pitch to the cabinet? Was he at that thing or not?
No.
Maybe you ought to get...
I don't know.
Maybe you ought to get Dole in on this business of the personal thing on the president.
Right.
That could add a lot to his speeches.
I talked to him some after we talked to him. We're going to get together and go over... He's very intrigued with that. And he had the idea, but he wanted to talk about some approaches to it.
He should talk about courage and sticking to his guns and all that sort of thing, and that this is working and things are going up, and, you know, just talk confident as hell.
Yep.
That's what we need at the present time. And Dole it's good to see him about every couple of weeks. It's not a bad idea. Just get him in 15, 20 minutes.
The point, then he can go out on the basis of that, you know, and really go to that, and sitting in the cabinet meetings and sitting in the leadership meetings.
Yeah. Yes, sure, he can do that. And then, of course, he ought to, in the morning, start on a little plan of getting McGregor and the rest on a program. I've talked to Colson. He's going to work on Brooke and some of these other people, you know, that are tell them to just hold their fire a little while. Just give us a little time.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys, the Chinese thing will worry them, and other things, they may think there's more going on than really is.
Yeah.
But I think we need some hard. I don't think we've got much in the Senate there yet. You know, whether he's really thought it through or whether we have thought it through in terms of there should be more than 4 senators. There should be 6 or 7. You know, real good, tough senators that are with us, right?
We've got them. I didn't want to get into it with Dole standing there, but we've got the group that they want to bring in. You know, as the Senate group, and that's Goldwater, Bellman, Tower, Baker, Dole, Gurney, Brock, and Taft.
Good.
And then they also would like to add to that,
bring them in Saturday morning.
The other solid group, which is Allett, Boggs, Curtis, Hanson, and Miller.
Have all of them come? Miller too? Yeah.
Even Miller. Miller has voted 90% or better.
We want him
on all the tough key votes.
We want him to hold firm on this thing, you know.
And see, those 5 are all up for election.
Right. That's a good one to bring in then. Bring in
Boggs, Curtis, Hanson, and Miller.
Because they're up for election. Bring them in.
Are the ones who are up who have been total loyalists. And then of course Tower, who's 100%.
Right.
And
good.
So that
were you able to get anything done on the Texas grain thing today, or that?
I don't know whether they got any more done or not.
But you're riding that hard.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't want to be. I want to be sure that that Connolly's concerned that we just be sure we appear to be activists and not just sort of waiting and demagogue it a little. You know.
Yep.
That's a good deal, and they'll don't leave it to Lincoln to do the right thing. We want to say the right thing now, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Fine, Bob. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Kissinger, please.
Thank you.
Hello.
Dr. Kissinger.
Mr. President.
Hello, Henry. I was wondering how they, if you checked in to see how they played the Chinese thing today?
Oh, yeah, it was tremendous. It was the lead item on every... I didn't see it myself. I was with Bob Griffin, but I talked to Haig.
Yeah.
But he says it's been a tremendous thing on television. It's been the lead item on every television thing. And so
rather than Vietnam for a change.
Yeah, it's gone on and on and on. Yeah. And I found it helpful also with these Michigan editors.
How'd it go with them?
Well, they asked the usual questions about Vietnam, and I just said, look, we know what we're doing, and there are always more things going on, and they were very intrigued with China. They asked the usual questions about Vietnam. Do we think the South Vietnamese can stand on their feet? But they were not hostile.
Yeah.
They just had heard so much stuff about the Vietnamese not being able to make it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, this is one thing we're sure, that while we're not as confident about the Vietnamese as some may be, we're a hell of a lot more confident that the press has led them to believe. You see?
That's right. And these were many of them were small town newsmen, Muskegon and Kalamazoo and Flint and stuff like that. And they were on the whole very eager to. They weren't asking hostile questions. They were asking informational questions.
Right.
We spent about a third of the time on Vietnam, a third on China, and then the third was miscellaneous stuff.
Now, on the China thing, what we have to realize, Henry, is that in terms of the American public opinion, it is still against communist China, you know.
Right.
So we're not making any boasts with this.
No, but on the intellectuals and
the intellectuals will worry. They all worry about something, and but as we knew from the October 7th thing, it doesn't mean that we get much from them. It'll just worry them to think that something else is up, and the whole thing has got to be well played in terms of we don't. How about the Taiwan thing? That's sort of worrisome. I don't know a damn thing we can do about those, is there?
What Taiwan thing?
Well, I mean, they're concerned about what we've said.
Right, but they haven't expressed it yet, have they? I don't think so.
Oh, I think there was something in the paper indicating that Taiwan was
well, but that's inevitable. They have to say that. And Bob Murphy going out there, I think, will, of course they'll be concerned. It is bound to be a worrisome thing to them.
Oh, Henry, the thing is, an historic change is going to take place. It has to take place. And it better take place when they've got a friend here rather than when they've got an enemy here.
And
because
it's a tragedy that it has to happen to Chung at the end of his life.
Yeah, but
we have to be cold about it.
Yeah, we have to do what's best for us. And
in the long term, it is essential for the values that he represents that there be continuity in our government here.
Yes, and that he has here an administration that is not going to just stand by and let Taiwan go down the drain. We're trying to hold our position as best we can.
Exactly.
And
for every reason, we've got to have a diversion from Vietnam in this country for a while.
That's the point, isn't it? Yeah.
And we need it for our game with the Soviets.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be absolutely impossible. We would be doing the Soviets the greatest favor if we rejected this overture, and we would get nothing for it. It would lead to tougher relations between us and the Soviets rather than easier.
That's right. That's what they'd like for us to do. They'd like for us to sort of slap the Chinese in the face, but we're not doing it. We're not going overboard, but we're saying, well, they open the door, we'll open the door.
That's right.
And
actually now one would have to expect a hiatus of a few weeks.
Oh, of course, nothing's going to happen for a while, but that's all right. Just let this rest a while and let people, mutter around about it for a while.
And of course, with some luck, we'll get some nibble on the Soviet front now.
Yes, we might.
Well, it isn't even luck so much. It really logically ought to happen.
It ought to happen logically, that's right. If they are all logical, they're damn well better, or they're a lot more rigid than and stupid.
I mean, there's nothing new they're going to learn about salt. They're either going to move on that or not.
That's right.
The other one, the summit we've been kicking around for a year.
I talked to Colson, and I told him to do what he could. Dole was in and said that both Case and Brooke were making speeches on the floor today about a necessity to set a date and all that sort of thing. And I said to get hold of Brooke and tell him to keep shut for a month. That's all you can ask of Brooke.
Right.
And without promising a thing, just say, look, just tell him, just wait a month, and then wait. You know what I mean? You can't expect him to do more than that.
Right.
But if we
actually doesn't make any difference what Case and Brooke say, because they've been saying that for a year.
True, but if we could just get a few of our own to quiet down, and it's very important. And the other thing, as I said, is and you've got to talk about this too, is the whole thing of Dole expressed is the POW wives. We must not let them go off on a tangent here.
Well, that's why we've got to keep that residual force thing alive.
I know that, but I meant they've got to not bite on one of these withdrawal programs or something like that, you see.
I don't think they will.
Well, don't be too sure. Just remember, everybody's working on them. And we've got to just watch that as closely as we can.
Well, I'm seeing them again in the middle of May, and if there are any danger signs, I'll see them before.
Yeah, but we don't want them to move before then. You think,
but what makes anyone think they're moving?
Well, Dole was concerned about it. He sees and hears from them and so forth, and because boy, we just don't want these gals who have so much at stake, and their husbands and so forth. They just can't throw it down the drain just for that.
Right. Well, McGovern has been after them. I know that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Clifford also would.
He's working on them. That's right.
Yeah.
But let's keep our eyes very closely peeled on that, and in the meantime, we'll work the other things as well as we can. Okay, Henry, thank you.
Right, Mr. President.
Yes, please.
Let's get Dr. Kissinger back from you.
Yes, Shirley.
One thing I forgot to mention was that the Dow went to 932 today, so that's
isn't that?
Well, it's a good thing. Means it's 300 points now. Before the low, but also it's above what it was when we came into office. It was 930 when we came into office.
Oh, really?
January 20th. That's right. So it's come a long way, and I think you ought to get your friend Howard Stein on the phone.
I'll call him tomorrow.
Yeah, and just say, now look here, Howard, things are moving, and just because he talks to a lot of people. Okay?
Oh, yes. I'll call him tomorrow,
Mr.
President.
All right.
Yes, please.
Could you get me David Eisenhower, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Yes, please.
Haldeman, please.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Mr. Haldeman?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I think we might as well go ahead with that Lasker thing if they want to come down, because
Yeah, you got another 5 points today.
yeah, the Dow really that's a hell of a big wallop too, you know.
They do want to. They've got a...
You see, it's 938 now.
Yeah.
938,
938.17.
which is this is the goddamnest bull market in history. Now, if it goes down tomorrow, it doesn't make any difference.
During the day, it'd have been up over 8 points.
I know, but just 5. Listen,
Closed at 5.62.
yeah. What was the volume? It's irrelevant.
I
Sorry.
don't have it.
Nevertheless, the point is, though, that let's strike it while it's hot. And
I think
show an
that's
expression of confidence. And if it drops tomorrow, it's all right. I mean, they take a little profit sharing, but this story will override the drop.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Well, they've got a basic statistic they can, that's unassailable on the greatest bull market.
Yeah.
I think it's this quarter. It's the greatest bull quarter in the history of the market.
That's right. Well, they can also point out that that I advise this.
Oh, yeah.
And also, don't just take the time I did it publicly, but the time that I told them in the bowels of the White House when it was 6:31. Yeah. I also told them to buy then, when Izzy Cohen took me on, remember?
Right.
Get down a good group, though. Get down the real wheels. Well, tell Pete not just to, what you want to do, just have Lasker?
Yeah.
Oh, God, well.
They felt they'd get into a... Well, we can
I think you ought to, I mean, I'd get people like Howard Stein, people like, Christ, I'd build the goddamn thing up.
Okay.
What good does it do us just to give it to Bunny? I mean, Pete is always thinking about, I'm sure, that, well, it may be a nice thing for Bunny. Shit, we don't care what Bunny does.
No, he's not.
You see what I mean?
Let me find out what the reason.
Why not?
But their thought, what we'd originally talked about was getting, 4 or 5 of them, the big wheels down.
And now you just want to do Bunny Lasker alone?
That's what they have now, yeah.
All right, it's okay. Just have him alone. That's fine.
Well, let's see. Maybe you
can't get the others, but if a whole group could come back, it might give more of a feeling of, of buoyancy than it does with just Bunny coming in, an old friend, a Republican, and going out now as a... You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think, you could get Gus Levy. He'd love it. Yeah. Just think what it's going to mean to some of theirs. Pete's got to think a little of that sort of thing, Bob.
Right.
See, what is it going to mean to some of the others? Just Gus Levy. Some of these Reagans that have been, it would mean a hell of a lot. And get Reagan back again.
Yeah.
Get the big 6 or 8 or 10 or the members of the, not the members of the you know,
Not the board, but
the board aren't worth a damn. They're
dealers, yeah.
Just the biggest dealers.
Big wheels.
And a few of them come down and say, gee, Mr. President, you're really something. You know, the biggest, it's like, tell Pete to think more in those terms. Be a little bit more, rather than just having a sad-ass picture of me and Bunny, you know, shaking hands and getting a bull.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, Pete.
Kissinger, please.
Yes, sir.
George Schultz, please.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Schultz. Hello? Hello?
Mr. President, Mr. Schultz is en route back to his office, and I have Dr. Kissinger on.
Yeah. Hello, Henry?
Yes, Mr.
I just wanted to ask you how'd you get along with Newsweek. Are you still there?
No, he's just left. I got along,
You shaking?
Oh, yeah. I really gave him hell. And he said, and I believe him, he said when it's in the international section, there's almost nothing that can be done because Christopher is practically a pacifist, foreign affairs.
Christopher, I see.
While if it's in the national section, then it's more balanced, and that is true because the week before they covered Laos in the national section.
I see.
And he said, well, in any event, don't worry about it because I have concluded Vietnam has disappeared from the front pages forever.
He said that? I'll be damned. They're, of course, overreacting, aren't they?
Yes.
You know, isn't it funny?
But you see,
Henry, you know, we don't realize, I think China, more than Moscow, is a goddamned nerve thing for these people. What do you think? I don't know.
because it's so new.
Yeah.
And of course there's...
And of course, let's face it, in the long run, it's so historic. You know, you stop to think of 800 million people and where they're going to be. Jesus, this is a hell of a move.
Of course, I don't want to get our hopes up too much, but one of the things that has occurred to me that I did not tell to this fellow is that it is conceivable, indeed it is very possible, that they know Hanoi is going to make a peace move and they don't want to be left out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that'll take care of itself. Getting back to the Russian thing, I was concerned about the TASS thing. I don't know how are you concerned that much? Can you call Voronzov again, or is that
I think that would make us look too eager, Mr. President.
Well, I don't want them to think though that, you know what I mean. Maybe you should call Dobrynin.
No, Mr. President, I've called Dobrynin once.
All right.
I've had Voronzov in.
All right.
I've called Voronzov this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had Ziegler put out a statement.
Right, that's enough, okay.
And I think any more would really be over-eager.
And now at this point, basically TASS is simply, but TASS, that shows that they must be hysterical about this damn thing, huh?
That's right.
Because they said this removed the mask of U.S. Shit, we don't have any relations with the Chinese.
Well,
they must think we're doing something.
Well, they're also using it against the Chinese.
Oh, how's that?
Well, because one of the things in which the Chinese have been driving them crazy is by claiming they were revolutionary purists while the Russians were opportunists.
I see.
So this is part of their internal problem.
I see. So they're saying that we are the Chinese colluding with the capitalists.
That's right. I think this was more directed at them.
You know, I would say this. The columnists and the rest, they should have enough to write about for at least 2 weeks. I don't say it's a month, but 2 weeks.
But of course, at the end of those 2 weeks, we may have something else to tell them.
Yeah. But so Hubbard thought this was going to take Vietnam out of the play for a while, huh?
For a year.
Really?
Yes.
He must be quite emotional about it.
Oh, God. And well, I have to say in his defense, he is more intelligent than the Time people.
He's somewhat decent, yeah.
And he's really quite decent, and
Fentress is a snake.
Yeah, and I said to him, look, if you want to write an interesting story here, don't write it as if Chu and Lai woke up one morning and decided they're going to have good relations.
Good God.
Write it in terms of a man who's been thinking along this line since '67 and who carefully, deliberately moved in that direction.
Right. And incidentally, I hope you mentioned the fact no Democrat could have done it.
Oh, yes, I told him.
And the fact that here I have done it because, frankly, the Hawks trust me. And have you made that point to a few?
Oh, yes. And I said also, it is a success of your speech and of your general policy. If they thought you were on the verge of collapsing, they couldn't do it.
Right.
And I said to, he remembered that during the campaign you had talked along this line too.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And,
also to Howard K. Smith, after the July broadcast, you recall, that we did with the 4 network commentators in California, afterwards I talked about China a bit.
Well, I had clippings, Mr. President, of all the things you've said at news conferences and so forth since you've come in here. And also of what you said at toast to Kochescu and Tito.
Right.
And I sort of said, you know, you can assume that he probably said more privately than he said at the toast.
Right.
And, which is putting it mildly.
Right.
And, no, he is...
Do you think he wants us to lose?
No, Hufford wants us to win.
Really?
Yeah.
But he's changed then. He didn't want us to win at the beginning. Maybe he's one convert then. Why does he want us to win? Because he was really against us a year ago.
Yeah, but I think he's really developed a lot of respect for us.
Do you really?
Absolutely. I don't say this about Fentress.
No, Fentress is a snake, and I know he's always been a snake.
But I'd say it about him.
Very interesting.
And
why does he want us to win?
Well, I think he likes the fact that you've stuck to your guns, and he's developed a grudging respect. You're an acquired taste for him. But that's my impression of him. He's been very positive, and he sees the danger of the right wing. Yeah, I hinted at I said, look, if Vietnam ever breaks, and I'm not saying it will break as suddenly as this one did. And so don't put yourself in a position...
Do you really believe that?
I happen to believe that, Mr. President, yes. I will say
what makes you think that Vietnam would break suddenly? I just don't see this.
Because this is the Asian way of negotiating. We negotiate after there's an agreement that we should move, and then we gradually compromise along the way. The Vietnamese act that the major negotiation is before the negotiation starts. That is, they want to be sure they've squeezed the maximum out of the situation that they can unilaterally. Mm-hmm. Once they're sure of that, then they will move to their new position.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't see any sense in approaching their position in stages.
I see.
If I had to predict, Mr. President, I would think there is a better than even chance now that in the next 3 months something will break. In Paris.
Even in Paris, huh?
Yeah.
Well, if it does, we be ready. The main thing, I think, your fear is well justified. I wish you could see them before they move. In other words, make our move.
I almost think we should send a message to them by the end of next week, no matter what we hear from Dobrynin.
Oh, hell yes. Yes. Yeah, look, whatever Dobrynin does, you got to move on this front.
Right.
Yeah, because the Chinese worry them, too.
That's right. No, I will propose a meeting to them probably next Wednesday. Mm-hmm. For 2 weeks from now. They need 2 weeks to get ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, say one thing, we really got the liberals worried.
Well, Mr. President,
they are
you
worried.
hadn't stuck to your guns, you wouldn't be worth dealing with.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. None of them admit it. But the April 7th speech was the key to this whole thing, wasn't it? Or was it? I don't know. I think the April 7th...
If you had given a deadline, if you had acted like the man on the verge of bugging out of Vietnam, you would literally not have been worth dealing with for them.
But on April 7th, they watched that speech, I'm sure.
And they saw a tough nut to crack, and they've got 2 more.
I said, all right, I'm going to stick it out, and I don't give a damn what anybody says.
That's right.
And that has some effect.
They knew they'd be in it until 73, and that's too late for them vis-a-vis the Russians.
Well, the Murphy thing you worked out, you talked to him a little bit more?
Right, and I'm giving him some papers tomorrow, Mr. President.
Right. Well, he's just the right man. He'll do a good job. He'll protect us with the state and let him tell old Green that he's going, but, all that sort of thing.
No, we've got it all set.
Good, okay.
Good, Mr. President.
business or at Paul Young's. Could I reach him there?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hello?
Secretary Conley.
Hi, John?
Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
Hope I didn't interrupt your dinner.
No, sir. I may be restrained in what I say. I'm sitting in Paul Young's restaurant.
That's a good place, yeah.
Nellie and C.R. Smith.
I just wanted to tell you that you must be a damn good Secretary of Treasury. The Dow went to 938 today. Did you hear that?
God, did he really?
It went up 5 points to 938.
Did you see the headlines in the Afternoon Star?
I couldn't believe it. John, tomorrow, Bunny Lasker's coming down to present me with a bull, you know, sort of a little medallion or some sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
At around 12:15. I thought if you could come over, it'd be a nice thing.
All right, sir.
Are you free?
Yes, sir. Sure, I'll be there.
Yeah.
12:15?
Yeah, about 12:15.
All right, sir.
I think it's a good thing for us to, when things are going our way, let's ride it a little and get the confidence. Don't you think so?
I'll say this, it bears out our judgment 30 days ago. You recall we went away to the middle of April and we thought the picture would look better then.
Mm-hmm.
And it sure does.
Yeah.
So I think you have every reason to be extremely proud of where we are.
No, well, you get the credit. You came on, everybody got confidence.
Well,
tell CR not to sell.
I'll tell him not to.
He's pleased though with what Secor Brown did, isn't he?
I haven't even talked to him, but I'm sure he is.
Well, you tell him that wouldn't have happened unless we'd have put the arm on him.
I couldn't agree more. I know it wouldn't, and that was one of the reasons
Good.
we were having dinner, and I'm going to tell him that.
Great. Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Schultz, returning your call. You are.
Hello, George.
Yes, sir.
Hope you noticed the headline in the Star.
Yeah, that bounced right.
We finally got one good headline. I don't know what the Post and the Times do it. They'll probably knock it down, but it's just good to have one good one right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But the 28.5 is a pretty good figure, isn't it?
Well, a word that I used, Ron asked me to come in and brief on it, was solid. That it was a good solid gain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
To make it really strong, I think you need to combine it with the March retail sales that we talked about the other day.
Right. I'm going to hit that with the editors tomorrow night.
Because actually, when you break that GNP down,
Yeah.
the auto increase accounts for a very heavy proportion of the real increase.
And so they'll say that's because of the strike.
Right. And the answer to that is that retail sales, as we came toward the last month of the quarter, were strong, and that retail sales figure goes across the board. It isn't just autos.
Mm-hmm.
So while autos are strong, and you'd expect them to be, and that's fine, it's broader than that. So we tried to bring that out, and of course the stock thing went up again today.
938.
Way above the date of your inaugural.
Yeah.
Or not way above, but 8 or 9 points above anyway.
Yeah. It's up. The main thing, it's above. Well, we ride the good news when we got it.
Sure.
Right.
I'm a believer in that, and
sure.
And put it out in a way that we don't try to overstate it. And
No.
But I think, at least I have the impression Ron felt that we gave it a good strong.
Oh yes, he felt very good about it. Very good. Very good.
I'm a little reluctant, as I told Ron, to do that because of McCracken's sensitivity, particularly right now. But
That's all right. I reassured,
I guess.
I reassured McCracken, and now and then we got to put a new voice in. Everybody's got to play this game, and he would not have played it as strongly as you did, and we've got to play it strong.
I'm over here working on this talk I have to give next week.
Oh yeah.
And the theme that I'm using is the old Navy command, steady as you go.
Good.
And that's going to be the way I'm building that up. I hope I can try out a little bit of it on you.
Sure.
You bet you I'm sure that you're in accord with it.
Well, I think that's exactly the right theme, that we're not going to be panicked. We weren't panicked earlier, and we're not going to be panicked now to go for tax reduction or this, that, the other thing. We're just going to stay right where we are, and we're not going to worry about whether it's $2 billion below what we'd hoped, or $1.5 billion, or anything. That we're just saying that we can't fix these numbers exactly.
Sure.
And
on
the retail sales thing, I think, is terribly important.
Yes. Well, one of the reporters asked me the question. They said, well, how does the president interpret the consumer attitudes and their reluctance to spend? And I said, well, the president focuses and has been very much impressed with the actual performance of the consumers in March.
Yeah.
And the strong retail sales figure.
And also, you've got to say that the consumers also are reflected in the stock market, aren't they?
And in the stock market.
That's consumers.
Sure, yeah. Although I think really the stock market kind of reacts the other way. When it's going well, people tend to go ahead and spend the money like they've got it.
Yeah, I see your point. Okay, well, it got a good bounce anyway.
Yes, sir. Will you have some time tomorrow, or are you going to be preoccupied? And
I'll be pretty, but Saturday I'll have some time.
All right.
Saturday would be a better time.
Saturday, I'd just like about 10 minutes. Check out this fellow Ken Dam with you and tell you about him.
Well, let's talk about it Saturday morning.
All right. Good.
I have plenty of time then.
Yeah. Okay.
Well?
Mr. President?
Yeah, no, it's me, Manolo.
Oh, listen, I have Dr. Kissinger for him now.
Oh, sir, Dr. Kissinger, sir. Just a minute.
Mm-hmm, thank you.
No, sir, no have line enough.
Calling back.
Operator?
Yes.
Please tell him call back in 10 minutes, please.
In 10 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Right. Yes, please.
Dr. Kissinger, please.
Yes, thank you.
Hello.
Dr. Kissinger.
President.
Hello, Henry.
I thought it was outstanding. And I was at dinner and in fact I still am there at K. James, but I'm where I can talk. And the Indian ambassador was there, and a very well-known British publisher, in fact my publisher, Sir George Nicholson.
What paper is that?
I beg your pardon?
What paper is he with?
Not a paper, it's a very large publishing
Yeah, the book, I understand.
book publisher, but who runs a big salon in London, very influential. Sir George Weidenfeld is publishing out as a...
Right. That's all right, sorry.
And Atlee Stevenson the third. And the reaction is absolutely enthusiastic here. Outstanding. Very good. And I thought you handled it with very, very great delicacy. The question of residual force, the question of withdrawals.
Well, we didn't give a goddamn thing away, you know.
You not give it away.
I was pretty tough.
But you handled it with really extraordinary delicacy. And to stand up to that for an hour, I thought you handled China beautifully.
With China, I know I'd handle that well, but, kidding Deadman a little and say, look, this is not the time to discuss the other things, but we're ready step by step, you know.
I thought you handled Vietnam with really enormous delicacy. I was just now assisted by the Indian ambassador, strangely enough, beating up Atlee Stevenson on the terminal day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The poor bastard, he doesn't know what to do, does he?
Oh, no. The Indian ambassador is hitting him from one side, and I'm hitting him from the other. And the consensus here is, so that we have one minor technical problem, Mr. President. You kept mentioning November 1st. Actually, you had announced it for December 1st.
Oh, well,
And if you don't mind, we would like to make clear that what you announced is the date that stands. The one you announced last week.
November 15th rather than October 15th.
No,
That's right.
because otherwise we'll have an uproar in Saigon.
That's right.
And this is just a minor technical.
I know, but I said November 1st. I meant I meant December 1st and November 15th, right.
Right. And it isn't going to create any problem.
No problem.
But I thought that China was beautifully handled. I thought you were very wise, and it was tremendously effective that you turned that first question into a little speech on peace. And
what was the first question about, General? Oh, yeah, about what do you wake up about? Oh, it's a silly question, but...
Well, it was a silly question and therefore hard to answer, but it was important that you had a chance to state the...
I dream about peace all night. I know, all that crap.
Everything else into a good framework, and you got a good hand. I don't know whether you got any comments afterwards, but here, really,
well, we got across several points. You know, I wouldn't let him drive me off of Agnew or Hoover. Now, both of them are, frankly, people that are not my kind of people. But I had to defend them, and I think people expect me to. Don't you think so?
Fine way.
Yeah. What do you think? Don't you think it was worked all right? With Hoover, I said, look, you're not going to help by he's never going to get out where you attack him.
That's right.
I think that was good to say. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And I thought that calling attention to his great public service.
For 50 years.
No, I went around the table and everybody, there's another Democrat here, David Ginsburg, I don't know whether you know.
Oh, Dave Ginsburg?
Yeah.
You mean the farmer head of the OPA?
I guess.
Yeah, a lawyer?
Lawyer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you tell him that he was my boss. He'll love this. You going to go back to the table?
Yeah.
Tell him that he was my boss. He, David Ginsburg, and Harris was my immediate boss, but David Ginsburg was the man that recruited me to go in the OPA 30 years ago. 30 years ago, David Ginsburg recruited me through David Cavers. Mentioned Cavers. Cavers is now at Harvard.
Yeah, I remember Cavers.
But because I was at the top of my class at Duke. It wasn't because of me, because I was, fairly good student.
It was outstanding.
Huh?
He thought it...
How did Ginsburg feel?
That's the one that he said it was absolutely outstanding. He said...
Well, it wasn't really that good. The point is, the questions weren't all that good, and they were a little stupid, some of them.
President, you had a tough road to hoe there.
I had to avoid a few things, but Ginsburg felt all right. You tell him that I remember that he recruited me. He was the man that recruited me to go into the OPA in 1942, and he'll love that. He'll love hearing it. Will you tell him that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that one day you bring him in, and you have him for lunch, and you bring him in and say hello to him, okay?
Absolutely.
See, he was the head of OPA then.
Right, another one who was there is Kermit Gordon, the former director of the budget.
Oh, how was he?
He liked it too. He was nagging a little bit on that figure of 28 billion.
Oh, for Christ's sakes. 28 billion people? What the hell? I didn't say that that's the end of all. I said look at the numbers with regard to retail sales, with regard to automobiles, with regard to housing. So we're
Alice Longworth is here, and she's of course praising you to the skies. But the reaction was really very, very interesting, very favorable, and I must say I was tremendously impressed by the delicacy with which you handled the foreign policy questions, because this was a tough moment.
Well, the main thing was not to give anything. I don't think we gave a goddamn thing away. I didn't give anything away on frankly, Henry, you know, I didn't give a thing away on Vietnam. I didn't give a thing away on China. You know, like China, I said, well, no, I'm not going to talk about that.
That was beautiful.
I said, no, this is not the time to talk about it.
That was beautifully done.
So, okay. But you see, with the way the China thing now sits, is that we haven't said a thing, and also the way
they haven't raised any expectations.
Yeah.
All of the expectations have been raised by the...
Where I said, in effect, as far as we're concerned, we're ready to trade, we're ready to exchange, but as far as recognition and all these technical problems, the other problems, we ain't going to talk about them right now. I think that's good. Now, we'll get a hell of a blast from the Washington Post and the New York Times. Why don't we say we're going to recognize Red China? Screw them. Don't you agree?
Then they didn't get you to this point in your China policy. You did more in 2 years than they...
Oh, this drives them nuts, Henry. This drives them nuts.
That's what...
No, I really think we've done on China. And Dedman, who was a decent, honest, liberal Democrat.
Yeah, I met him, yes.
You notice how I played him up so good.
You played him beautifully.
Yeah.
In fact, you played off, you mentioned that you were playing off one of his questions.
Mm-hmm.
No, I thought it was an outstanding thing.
Well, you never know. The questions always determine it, but we got a few points across.
Well, but the questions were not very good.
No, they were pretty stupid.
Poor Otis was fumbling around.
I know, but we did well by him.
But you did.
When I talked about the young people, I think that was not bad, to talk about the fact that I dreamed of those kids and I wanted them to believe in this country, that was not bad, Henry. But what do you think of that kid, that answer about the family? Wasn't that good?
That was very...
I didn't think it was too bad. It wasn't the best. But the idea that, well, look, we're ending the war. We're doing this. We're proving the system will work. Now, kids, come aboard. Let's get going, huh?
And focus on things we can do rather than on something. And let's make this thing work. I think it was very effective.
Okay. Well, Henry, have a good time. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Ziegler, please. He's out at the Shoreham Hotel.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please.
Mr. Herb Klein. He's out at the Shoreham Hotel, please.
Thank you, sir. Well. Yes, sir.
Ring Julie in her room, please.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please.
Dr. Kissinger, please.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Dr. Kissinger, Mr. President.
Henry, I think a very good touch would be for you to get Otis Chandler on the phone and tell him that you thought his questions were very perceptive and sensitive. The president thought that you just chatted with me and about youth and the rest.
I'll do that.
Give him a little crap right now,
I'll do that.
He'll love it. And he was all right. He was good, He smiled. And
He's really...
a decent man, really.
That's right. I wonder well, I'll get the White House.
Well, no, just call the White House and tell him he's at the Shoreham.
Right.
And for them to get him for you and tell him you're calling for the president. And they'll get him.
Good, I'll do it this minute.
Actually, this little performance night wasn't much, but basically these editors, they had to hear, I couldn't give them the thing they wanted to hear. Recognize Red China, admit him to the United Nations,
UK.
Give him a deadline with regard to this and that. No, you notice what I said about residual forces, that we're not going to have a I was very subtle about that. I said, not like Korea, but we're going to keep a residual force as long as is necessary to see Vietnam can defend itself.
I was just now, after I had finished with you, talk to Adlai Stevenson Jr.
Did you?
Yeah, and he said, on foreign...
I defended him,
I beg your pardon?
Tonight I defended him. I said it was a terrible thing that they bugged him, during the convention of '68.
You won hands down on foreign policy tonight.
He did?
Yeah. And I didn't ask him what he thought because I didn't want to embarrass him.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, you call Otis Chandler and say that the president thought his questions were excellent. You tell him you thought his questions were excellent. You just talk to the president. He thought he really zeroed in on what really people were worried about, which is really true, Henry. They're worried about kids. And what I said about kids, you and I know that they're not worth a damn. But on the other hand, I did say that, look, if we bring peace and if we clean up the environment and the rest, the kids may think maybe the system ain't all that bad, huh?
Well, you weren't saying anything, Mr. President, that isn't true. Whatever one thinks of some of the reactions to it, you define the problem.
I think you should call him immediately, okay?
I'll call him this minute, Mr. President.
Yes, please.
Julie, please.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please.
Try to get Mr. Herb Klein, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Dr. Kissinger, please.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Kissinger, Mr. President.
Mr. President?
Henry, the one point that is that may turn into a minor lead, not a big lead, but the fact where I spoke about the children, I said, well, you know, I hope that they can go to China someday.
Yeah.
And that I hope I could go someday, you know.
You know...
That doesn't bother you, does it?
It doesn't bother me, but it might just madly turn out that they'll get invited to spend their honeymoon there.
Be great. But I think we didn't overplay it, did we?
Oh, no. That was a general thing. Oh, not at all. That, in fact, I thought was a nice human touch.
Yeah. This is really true, you know, when I spoke to these kids on Easter, and I said, you know, I hope that in your time you'll be able to go to China, and I want our policies to be one that will make it possible, you know. This is really quite moving to the younger generation, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, it's moving to the older generation. I mean, this sense of people eager to go back to China is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was very touching, in fact.
Well, we shall see, but in handling your press guys, just be sure that you point out that the President was only speaking in terms of hopes and not in terms of...
And that I'd heard you say that many times before.
That I want to go, and I want my kids to go, and I hope this world will be one where everybody can visit all parts of the world and all that sort of business, you know?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we can do that. That is not at all the problem, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I thought that was a great plus.
Mm-hmm.
It gave it a human touch.
Yeah, good.
Ginsburg thought what you said about the barbaric treatment of the prisoners would be the big headline. Or a big headline.
Well, it is barbaric.
But I thought that that's exactly what you wanted.
And you notice what I said, I said unless both the prisoners and the ability of South Vietnam to defend itself were attained, that we will continue to maintain a residual force.
Well, I thought that was a masterpiece.
Because it's true, and it took Laird off the hook too, you see.
Well, and all I can tell you is that I've lived here is any indication of Dove's mood.
What's his view?
Well, we got them on their own. All he wants now is a free election in October.
Free election? Oh shit, there's no problem on that.
Exactly, I told you.
Right. It's got him worried, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's just making a very half-hearted play.
I would sort of tell him, look, Adlai, there's a lot of things going on here that your father was interested in. The president really is interested in the same things. And now look, let's lead toward this direction, you know?
Right.
Because, you know, really, we make the breakthrough in China. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened in, 20 years, Henry.
It's a historic turning point, Mr. President.
That's right. They all know it, don't they?
Oh, no question. Not a question.
It worries them, but we won't get any credit, but who knows?
Oh, you'll get credit. On this, you've gotten full credit. The first time.
Do you think so?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they know it couldn't have come from anyone else. No one else had ever talked of it.
Right. As a matter of fact, you and I know that without our leadership, nothing would have happened here. Nobody else, and no Dove could have done this.
Absolutely.
Hubert couldn't have done it.
No one could have done it politically, and no one could have done it within the bureaucracy because they didn't want to do it.
That's right. That's right. Well, get state, be sure state backs us up on this all the way now.
I've got them pretty well under control this way.
Right. And be sure that Laird knows I defended him on this, too. I said,
I've already called him, Mr. President.
Is he all right?
He's fine.
Yeah, because, I said, well, his position is exactly right. That I kept the residual force, I kept the air power, I hit that hard, that we're going to have it there as long as we need it.
Well,
and also in Thailand, where they said, well, now you're going to keep that. I said, well, we have other reasons to keep people in Thailand, right?
Absolutely. I thought the foreign policy part, I'm only not talking about the domestic part because I don't know that so well. I thought it was beautifully handled.
Well,
There's one answer I would change.
Yeah.
That if you gave me.
Let's screw around a little bit. try to do the things that your father, his father, was interested in. And one world, all that jazz, huh?
Right, Mr. President.
Okay, tell him that that's what I said to him, okay, will you?
I will do.
And that of course, as you noticed, I came out strongly against the business of the Army in the 68 Democratic Convention, you know. I said, we stopped it. See?
I noticed that.
Right.
That was very effective.
Okay. Fine, Henry. Yeah.
Mr. President, I have Mr. Ziegler, and he's going to still trying to find Mr. Klein for us.
Oh, Ziegler, sir. Fine.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Ron?
Yes, sir. I'm in a phone booth here. There's a reception taking place with a dance, and
Good. Good.
everyone, and I haven't even, asked, what did you think?
Yeah.
People were simply volunteering to me that they thought it was an excellent performance.
They liked it, huh?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
They didn't respond too enthusiastically, but the room was not that kind of a room.
The thing of it is, a couple of Bob White, for example, told me, who's a good friend, as you know.
He's a good man, yes.
He told me that the people he has talked to, and they talked to him straight, said that overall the attitude it was a great performance. He said that a number of them said, we didn't know whether we should have clapped or not because we're editors.
Yeah, I know.
They said that the wives were the ones who were clapping. And he said that many of them began, to clap even though they didn't know whether they should or not at a press conference like
The wives were clapping, yeah.
But, for example, Cotter from the Syracuse paper.
Who? Syracuse, yeah, that's a good paper.
He's a good man, and thought it was great. White. Newbold Noyce said there's never been anything like it.
Was he pleased? Newby?
Absolutely.
He's a nice
A
guy.
couple of people have said it was a virtuoso performance. And everyone says that the questions were good and the president handled them beautifully.
They were good questions,
And a
yeah.
lot of them...
I want you to go up to Otis Chandler and tell him he asked great questions. Will you do that?
Yes, sir. But a lot of them are talking about the way you handled the Hoover thing. And there's overall support of the way you handled the Hoover.
Yeah, where I said, well, after all, you can't put the old man out, and you kick him in the ass.
That's right. But a lot of them are talking about the figures you used.
Mm-hmm.
The 300 and the 50 and the less than before and so forth.
Yeah, and incidentally, they hope they all noticed that 61, 62, 63 Bobby Kennedy was the Attorney General.
They got that. They got that.
Yeah.
McKnight, the next president,
Yeah.
thought it was...
From Charlotte?
Yes.
How was he?
Excellent. Everyone who I've talked to, and I've talked to a great number here, even Art Buchwald thought it was great.
Buchwald? What did Buchwald say?
He thought it was great. He said, Buchwald said that, it was a great performance.
Why don't you get a hold of Bill Buckley and see what he thought?
For him, I don't see him here.
Let me know if you find him and call me back, will you?
Well, Herb's here too. Would you like?
Yeah, I want to talk to Herb. Yeah.
He's down there now.
Have him call me back, but you get a hold of Buckley, because I think it's interesting, because he's a hardliner, and see what Buckley thought,
Okay, I'll try and find him here.
Fine.
If I don't, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Dr. Lukash, please.
Yes, sir.